This is Sock Monkey and Woven Hat and Scarf with Mrs. Orendorff. Welcome back to my studio. This is Mrs. Orendorff. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make one of my favorite lessons with an amazing all-American theme, the Sock Monkey. There's a whole history out there behind it, and go check it out. There's also many awesome storybooks about sock monkeys. This is one of my favorites. It's called Oscar, The Big Adventure of the Little Sock Monkey, and I will be reading this to my students in class. Step 1, get your paper, get your pencils. Don't forget to write your name on your paper. Remember, no name, no fang. All right, let's get started. We are going to begin drawing our sock monkey by starting with the head. Now the head doesn't have to be too big. Make a fist. You are going to place your fist in the middle of the paper and then slide it up a little bit. Okay, so about there. And this shape is an oval. I'm drawing lightly with my pencil, but I will trace it with Sharpie so you can see better in a minute. So make your oval as best as you can. I recommend that you draw with pencil and then outline with the Sharpie marker as best as you can. It's like a sideways potato. Okay, for the belly, we are going to make the letter U. It should be about here, leaving enough space for the legs, for the tail, and for the arms. So something like this, curvy line, and connect. We are going to make 2 legs. It's 2 long, skinny U's. Make sure that they are about the same length, okay, and same width. If one turns out a little bit wider than the other, just go in there and correct it and erase your extra line. And we're gonna make a curvy line here, separating the feet from the leg. And then we are going to make 2 arms. Now you can make your sock monkey's arm pointing up, or you can make them both pointing up. You can make one up and one down, or both down. That is going to be your choice because you are the master artist of your paper. I think I'm gonna make both of these pointing up this time. Okay, and then we are going to do a curvy line here separating the tip of the arms, so the hands versus the arm. Okay, now we're gonna make 2 letter C's, the letter C, on each side of the head for the ears. Again, make sure that they are about the same height. Leave the hat alone. We are not going to draw the hat today because we're going to be adding that made of yarn. Now we are going to draw this line here that separates the eye area from the mouth area. We are going to start with 1 curvy line as best as you can, like the top of a rainbow. There we go. Now for the mouth, you are going to make this same shape but smaller inside. If you notice, it's like a red leaf. Curvy line, curvy line. So that's the mouth area. Curvy line, and then curvy line down here. Ta-da! Okay, for the mouth, you can do a little broken line like it's stitched on, or you can just draw a little smile. Your choice. I think I'm going to make the broken line because that looks a little more authentic. Here, right above this leaf shape, we are going to do 2 little ovals for the sock monkey's nostrils. Okay, for the eyes, I'm going to do 2 circles. We are going to pretend these are button eyes. Okay, so it's 2 circles, and then we're gonna draw 4 little circles inside. So pretend this is a button. 1, 2, like 2 dimes or 2 nickels. And then 4 circles inside. Make sure that those circles have white inside because those are gonna be like little holes in the button. Okay, tail. We are going to make a curvy line going up and curve back down and come back to the belly. So it looks like a banana and then curvy line right there. Okay, now we are ready for the textures with your crayon. Trace on top of all your pencil lines with Sharpie and erase any silly extra pencil lines you don't need anymore. Okay, find a dark brown crayon because we want this crayon to stand out. You can also find, so here I have one that is called Chestnut. It's a little like maroon brown. And then this one is Raw Sienna. I'm going to go with Chestnut. And for the pattern, all we're gonna do is the letter V. A row of V's. You can see it better on this one. A row of V's going up and then a row of V's going down. Start here with my V's and they're about medium letter V's. Ta-da! And then I'm going up with the same letter V. And I almost forgot. If you want to put a little heart on your monkey's chest, you can. I would do this before you finish your pattern. I'll put like little lines there, like it's stitched on there. Okay, sort of like they do a Build-A-Bear when you hide the little heart inside the belly, but this one's on the outside. Here around the mouth, we are not doing that pattern, but we will be doing it in this area where the eyes are. So if he was wearing like a superhero mask, this would be like the superhero mask area. So I'm going to make my V's going sideways, pointing to the right and then pointing to the left. In the ears, you're gonna do the same thing. A row of V's going up and then a row of V's going down. Now that I'm done with all of my V's, I'm going to color in the eyes. You can choose whatever color you want your sock monkey's eyes to be. This one I just filled in with the Sharpie and left the 4 little circles white. You can do that, a black button. This one here, I did like a blue purple. I think I'm going to do a light blue on this one. Just make sure you go around the little circles, and if you get crayon inside of those little circles, well then I guess you can fill those in with the black Sharpie and it can be like empty space. You can do that too. For the mouth, make sure that you have a true red crayon. That's very important because red, sometimes you can get like a violet red and it looks just like red in the whole crayon box or your crayon assortment. But then you go to color and it's pink. So the best thing to do is to test them on the back of your paper. That is not true red. That has some pink in it. This one is true red. Now when you color very lightly, it's gonna look like chalk. So you want to color a little bit hard so you get that nice waxy texture and it looks like a cherry tomato red. That's what we want. Very carefully, you are going to color the inside of this mouth area. Do not color the edge, sort of like the little frame around the mouth, okay? You can almost pretend like he had a drink of milk and he has like a milk mustache around his mouth. That would be funny, but it's a good way to remember not to color this area right here. And I am done with the mouth. Okay, I'm also going to need red on the heart. Unless you want to make a different color heart, go for it. You can even make a little rainbow heart. Okay, now for the tip of the hands and feet, we are going to use a very light brown. This one is called Tumbleweed. There's also one called like Ginger Root or an off-white color, sort of like a khaki. And we are going to do the same pattern that we did on the belly, but with this light brown, just to keep with the same technique of the texture of a sock. Okay, now I am ready for my background. My background, I just did regular buttons. If you have something else that makes you happy, for example, hearts, you could do heart buttons, star buttons. You think about it, okay? If you want to do like paint splatters, if yours is an artist, you could do paint splatters. That would be so fun. You could do a combination. So if you wanted like a paint splatter, it's just a splat, almost like a fried egg, right? And maybe just a few little drops here, a few little drops here. Ah, splat. So I am done coloring all my beautiful decorations, my fun paint splatters, and my colorful buttons. So now I have a little bit of water here, a watercolor brush, and my watercolor kit. Now we are only going to use brown in some of the areas. We are not putting brown all over the paper. We are not putting brown in this area here, which remember I called it the milk mustache. And we are not putting brown paint on top of the little hands, the tip of the tail, and the tip of the leg. We are trying to make a very light wash. So you want to have plenty of water, so more water than pigment. Gently just tap on the brown. And then I'm going to paint very carefully. I'm going to start here with the belly. Notice how I'm going under the head. If you put a decoration like the heart, getting a little more water, dipping it in the brown, your brush will run out of paint quickly. So you need to do this several times. Dip your brush in the water, tap it a little on the brown, and then carry it over carefully to your paper. Start here very carefully around my monkey, and then spreading out the paint. Now, do not worry about getting paint on top of your buttons or the paint splatters or the hearts, whatever you ended up drawing as your pattern for the background decorations. Because if you use crayon and you paint on top of it, nothing will happen. Here I have the inside of a paper towel roll, and I cut just a little piece off. You don't have to measure, it's about an inch, but you can guesstimate it, about 2 fingers. If you are a younger artist, make sure you have a grown-up help you, because sometimes this can be a little tricky, okay? And then I cut some yarn strips in different fun colors that I'm going to use on my little hat, and these are about 12 inches long, so about the length of a ruler. So I just measured one, and then with one I measured all the other ones with my different rolls of yarn. All right, so to get started, I'm going to make a loop, sort of like an upside down U with my first piece of yarn. Do you see that? Okay, so there is my loop. Okay, this loop is going to go inside of my short cylinder here, and it's going to feed these two. Do you see this? It's going in, sort of like a paper clip. See that? And then these ends are gonna go through this little hole right here. So I'm gonna feed those through and pull. Ta-da! And you want these close together. Okay, so there is my first little tassel. And you can, if you want a pattern, you can do that with a different color. So this time I'm gonna do orange. Make my loop. Okay, got it. Upside down U. I'm going to feed it through my little cardboard cylinder. Okay, so there is my loop there, ready for the ends to go through it. So I have my two ends together, and they're gonna feed through that loop and pull through. Ta-da! Okay, second little tassel here. And we want them close together. So you're gonna keep doing this with all the colors until you have covered the entire little cylinder with your yarn. To close the top of the hat, you can use a little rubber band or a piece of string. For my scarf, I'm just going to wrap yarn around a rectangle made with cardboard because you want it to be sturdy. I'm going to measure more or less how wide this needs to be. I'm going to cut off just a little excess. If you see that it's too thick, you can also cut it down to be a little bit thinner. And for this part, you're gonna need yarn, remember the colors that you need, and some masking tape. Okay, to get started with the scarf, you can do just one string of yarn at a time, or you can do 2 or 3. I'm going to do 3 just because I want to try to keep the same pattern of colors that I use there. I'm going to tape these 3 strands to the back of my cardboard with a piece of masking tape to make sure that they stay down well. Press hard on that masking tape. You don't want it to be loose. And then I'm going to start wrapping my yarn tightly, don't leave it loose, around my cardboard. Look at how beautiful. It looks like a rainbow scarf. And we don't even have to worry about weaving like if you had a needle, okay? So this is the back, and I have this much extra, and I ran out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it. I'm going to get a little piece of more masking tape, tape that down, and then get 3 more strings and keep going. Okay, so the tape is gonna be facing down, so no one is going to get to see your little tape pieces. They're holding everything together. All right, so for this part, I would definitely go with longer strips of yarn to make sure that they don't run out as quickly as mine did. Just a little longer. Okay, so I got my 3 colors again. I'm going to put the ends of it there. And then with another piece of masking tape, it doesn't have to be very big. You're gonna press it down to hold them down, okay? And then we are going to start wrapping again. Make sure you don't try not to leave empty spaces in the cardboard between the yarn. You want to pull a little bit hard so they stay down nicely. Notice I'm just rotating my cardboard here. So here I am done with my whole pattern in the front. I left just a little extra space here so the yarn doesn't fall off the end. And I'm going to trim my extra here. Trim my extra. Okay, put my yarn to the side. I'm gonna need that in a minute. Get plenty of tape to hold this down. Make sure that the tape is not sticking out on the edge. The tape is like our little secret. No one should see that, okay? And then this is gonna go, ta-da, right there. Now, if you want some tassels on the ends, you know how scarves, sometimes they have little tassels on the, like where they overlap. You can do the same trick that we did on the hat. I have my little 3 strings here. I'm going to put them behind. See how I have my loop? I'm gonna feed them through that loop, these ends through the loop. Got it? And then pull. And these are gonna be my little tassels of my scarf. Okay, if you want, you can even do some knots just to make sure that it stays down well. and give it a little haircut. And you can even put it a little bit towards the side. You can get really fancy. And there we are. You can also do it here on the side. You could even make a smaller piece of cardboard, wrap it with the same yarn. Let's say we wanted to do your little tassel part instead of having it like that. This is the easiest way, I believe. But if you wanted the extra little part like that, you know how scarves have like two little ends, you could get a small piece of cardboard and then cover it with more yarn and then glue it down like your two little strands. I think I love this look. I'm going to go glue this down and I will show you in a minute the final result. And this is my finished sock monkey with my yarn hat and my yarn scarf. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please subscribe and I will see you next time. Keep creating.